You've been here before. You set a massive goal. You start out completely obsessed. The momentum is incredible. But then you hit a wall. And the craziest part? You don't hit that wall at the beginning. You hit it right when you are 90% done. Right when the finish line is in sight. Your brain suddenly tells you it's too hard. The project isn't good enough, and you should just walk away. Why does your own brain sabotage you right when you are about to succeed? Today, we are going to unpack the psychological phenomenon that is silently killing your long-term goals. And more importantly, how to hack your brain to push through the hardest phase of any journey. Society has a very simple explanation for why people don't finish what they start. They call it laziness. They call it a lack of discipline. But that is a lie. Think about it. Lazy people don't spend 6 months building a business. Lazy people don't spend an entire year losing 30 pounds, only to give up 5 pounds away from their target weight. If you've ever abandoned the project at the 11th hour, it is not because you are lazy. It is because you are fighting a biological energy conservation system designed to keep you alive. You are experiencing what behavioral psychologists call the goal gradient hypothesis. To understand why you fail, you have to understand how your brain measures distance. In 1932, a psychologist named Clark Hull ran a famous experiment. He put rats in a maze with food at the very end, but he didn't just watch if they found the food, he measured their speed. What he found changed how we understand motivation. The rats didn't run at a steady pace. When they were far away from the food, they ran at a moderate, conservative speed. But the moment they rounded the final corner and could physically see the finish line, they sprinted.
This is the goal gradient effect. Our motivation increases as the perceived distance to a goal decreases. But there is a dark side to this curve. If motivation is high at the very beginning when the excitement is fresh, and high at the very end when the reward is in sight, what happens in the middle? Welcome to the dead zone. Let's talk about the last massive project you started. Maybe you were coding a complex user interface, meticulously designing administrative data tables and password toggles. Or maybe you were illustrating a multi-page children's storybook, spending hours perfecting the exact shade of an orange cat with green eyes. The first few days or the first few pages felt effortless. You were fueled by the dopamine of a new beginning. But then weeks pass. You are no longer fueled by the beginning, and you are too far away to see the end. This is the middle dip, and this is where your brain actively turns against you. Your brain consumes roughly 20% of your body's energy. Its primary evolutionary job is to stop you from starving. When you are stuck in the middle dip, pouring hours of energy into a project with no immediate reward in sight, your subconscious triggers an alarm. It looks at your energy output, realizes there is no dopamine payoff happening anytime soon, and pulls the emergency brake. How does the brain pull that brake? It doesn't just shut off your body, it changes your perception of reality. It starts deploying psychological tricks. Trick number 1, the illusion of invisible progress. When you start a diet and lose the first 5 pounds, it feels like a massive victory. When you are 50 days in, losing 1 pound feels like a rounding error. Your brain stops registering small wins. Trick number 2, manufactured doubt. Because your brain wants you to conserve energy, it starts feeding you logical-sounding excuses to quit. Is this UI design even good? Does anyone even want to read this book? Am I just wasting my time? You aren't suddenly becoming a worse designer, or a worse writer, or a worse athlete. You are just experiencing the chemical withdrawal of the middle phase. And the absolute worst thing you can do right now is listen to your own thoughts. This brings us to the tragic paradox of the finish line. Why quit at 90%? Because of emotional fatigue. By the time you reach the final 10% of a massive undertaking, you have spent so much time in the middle dip that your psychological reserves are completely drained. You are practically crawling. The last 10% requires detailed polish. It requires fixing bugs, finalizing layouts, and doing the tedious, unglamorous work. Because you are exhausted, that final 10% feels heavier than the first 90% combined. Resigned. The illusion is complete. Your brain convinces you that the finish line is moving further away, right as you are about to cross it. So, how do we hack the system? How do you beat the illusion? You have to manipulate the goal gradient effect to your advantage. Step 1. Artificial milestones. If the distance between the start and the finish line is what causes the middle dip, you have to shorten the distance. Stop measuring your progress against the final launch. If you are designing an app, your goal today isn't finish the app. Your goal is strictly code the login toggle. Once you hit it, your brain registers a finish line and you get a dopamine hit. Step 2. The done list. Everyone has a to-do list which only reminds you of what you haven't achieved. When you are in the middle dip, you must keep a done list. Visually tracking the massive amount of work you have already executed grounds your brain in reality and proves that progress is not invisible. The next time you hit that wall, the next time you are sitting at your desk, staring at a screen, completely paralyzed by the sheer weight of what is left to do, I want you to remember this. That heavy, suffocating feeling of doubt is not a signal that you are on the wrong path. It is biological proof that you are in the hardest phase of the journey. You are in the crucible. Don't let a biological energy conservation system steal your life's work right before the finish line. Shrink the distance, trust the process, and finish the job.
If this video helped you understand your own mind a little better, hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of human potential. See you in the next one.